The sharp clack of Evelyn Harper's heels reverberated along the quiet street, a rhythmic counterpoint to the soft hum of the city winding down. Her emerald green blazer hugged her slender frame, its tailored lines accentuating her poised silhouette. Blonde hair swept neatly behind her ears, caught the fading light of the early evening sun. At 30, Evelyn was a self-made millionaire, her name synonymous with ambition and unyielding confidence. She moved through the world as if it bent to her will, her presence commanding attention in boardrooms and beyond. The sidewalks, still gleaming from a recent rain, reflected the long blue shadows stretching across the pavement. The air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of wet asphalt and distant traffic. Evelyn glanced at her phone, her manicured fingers scrolling through a packed schedule. Meetings, investor calls, a charity gala. Her day was a carefully orchestrated symphony of power and precision. She barely noticed the world around her, her mind already 3 steps ahead, calculating outcomes and strategies. That's when a voice, sharp and urgent, sliced through the evening's calm. "You will die tomorrow." Evelyn froze, her thumb hovering over the screen. Her eyes darted up, searching for the source. Standing before her was a small boy, no older than 6 or 7, his skin darkened with grime, his brown shirt torn and clinging to his thin frame. His bare feet shuffled nervously on the wet pavement, but his eyes deep. With a fierce determination, he pointed directly at her, his small hands steady despite the tremble in his voice. "What did you say?" Evelyn asked, tilting her head, her tone a mix of curiosity and disbelief. The street was empty, save for the two of them, the city's hum fading into an eerie stillness. The boy stepped closer, his voice low but resolute. "You will die tomorrow. Please, listen. Don't get in your car today." A cold shiver ran down Evelyn's spine, prickling her skin beneath the expensive fabric of her blazer. For a fleeting moment, her polished exterior faltered, but then, reason snapped back, and she laughed, a sharp, bright sound that cut through the quiet like glass shattering. "Oh my, what is this? A little street prophet?" Her lips curved into a smirk, her confidence reasserting itself. "Do you really think you can scare me?" She laughed again, louder this time, bending slightly as if the absurdity of the situation demanded a performance. Her diamond earrings glinted, her Rolex catching the last rays of sunlight. The boy, by contrast, was a study in poverty, his shirt threadbare, his face smudged with dirt, his eyes too old for his young body, yet he didn't flinch. His small hand remained pointed, his expression unyielding. "I'm warning you," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the distant hum of the city. "A shadow is following you. If you get in your car, it will happen." Evelyn straightened, her amusement giving way to irritation. "Enough of this nonsense," she scoffed, glancing at her phone again. The screen glowed with notifications, pulling her back to her world of deals and deadlines. "Go home, little boy, if you even have one." She turned on her heel, her steps quickening, the sharp clack of her shoes echoing like gunfire. But deep in her chest, something stirred, a faint, nagging unease she couldn't quite shake. That night, Evelyn worked late in her penthouse office, the city sprawling beneath her like a glittering chessboard, floor-to-ceiling windows framed, the skyline, the lights of skyscrapers, twinkling like stars against the inky night. She poured herself a glass of Pinot Noir, the deep red liquid swirling in the crystal as she shook her head, still amused by the boy's audacity. "Such superstition," she muttered to herself, sipping the wine. "Ridiculous." Yet, as she sat at her sleek glass desk, reviewing contracts and emails, the boy's words lingered like an unwelcome guest. "You will die tomorrow," she dismissed it again, chalking it up to the overactive imagination of a street kid, perhaps a ploy for attention or money. But the unease persisted, a faint flicker at the edge of her consciousness. Evelyn had built her empire from nothing. Orphaned at 16, she'd clawed her way through a world that offered no favors, turning a small tech startup into a global powerhouse. She thrived on control, unpredictability. The idea of some random child predicting her fate was laughable, yet it gnawed at her, an itch she couldn't scratch. She stood, pacing to the window, her reflection staring back at her, polished, powerful, untouchable. The city below buzzed with life, oblivious to her unease. She forced herself to focus, to push the boy's words into the recesses of her mind. Tomorrow was just another day, another opportunity to dominate. The next morning, Evelyn dressed with her usual precision, a tailored navy suit, a silk blouse, and heels that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Her personal driver, Marcus, waited outside her building, standing beside the sleek black sedan that ferried her through the city. She paused at the door, the boy's warning echoing unbidden in her mind. Don't get in your car today. She shook her head, annoyed at herself for even entertaining the thought. Reason prevailed, as it always did. Let's go, she said firmly, sliding into the back seat. That the sedan merged onto the expressway, the city blurring past the tinted windows. Evelyn scrolled through her phone, her mind already on the client meeting that could secure a multi-million-dollar deal. The boy's words were a distant memory, buried beneath spreadsheets and strategy. Then, a deafening honk shattered the calm. Miss Harper, brace yourself, Marcus shouted. Evelyn's head snapped up. A massive truck barreled across the lane, its driver slumped over the wheel, the vehicle careening wildly. Tires screeched, metal screamed. The sedan swerved sharply, narrowly missing a concrete barrier. Evelyn was thrown sideways, her phone clattering to the floor as her heart hammered in her chest. The truck roared past, mere inches from crushing them. For a long, agonizing moment, the world was chaos and silence. Evelyn's chest heaved with ragged gasps, her hands trembling uncontrollably. Marcus, gripping the wheel, glanced back at her, his face pale. You okay, Miss Harper? She nodded, unable to speak, her pulse thundering in her ears. The boy's voice roared back to life in her mind. You will die tomorrow. Don't get in your car today. Her blood ran cold. This wasn't coincidence. It couldn't be. Shaken to her core, Evelyn cancelled her meetings, instructing Marcus to take her straight home. The sedan pulled into the underground garage of her building, and she stumbled out, her usual composure shattered. In her penthouse, she paced, the boy's words looping endlessly in her head. Her phone buzzed, snapping her out of her spiral. A security alert from her team. Threat detected. Target E. Harper. Remain cautious. Her blood ran cold. Her knees buckled, and she sank onto the plush sofa, her breaths coming fast and shallow. This can't be real, she whispered, but the evidence was undeniable. The near miss on the highway. The security warning. The boy had known. A frantic decision gripped her. She grabbed her phone, dialing her head of security. Find him, she ordered, her voice trembling. The boy from yesterday. Small, black, ragged clothes. Find him. Bring him to me now. Night fell heavy over the city, the skyline a mosaic of glowing windows and neon signs. Evelyn's penthouse lights burned late, casting stark shadows across the marble floors. Her staff had fanned out across the nearby streets, searching for the boy, but hours passed with no sign of him. Evelyn paced relentlessly, her green blazer now wrinkled, her usual calm replaced by annoying panic. Her phone buzzed again. A second security update. Suspected gang activity in vicinity. Threat level high. Her heart pounded, her mind racing with images of the truck, the slumped driver, the boy's pointed finger. Where is that child? She whispered, her voice cracking. He knew. A soft knock on the door broke her spiral. Her assistant's voice came through, tentative but urgent. Miss Harper, we found him. Evelyn raced to the foyer, her heels slipping slightly on the polished floor. There he stood, the same small boy, his torn shirt hanging loosely on his thin frame, his bare feet dirty against the pristine marble. His face was tired, his eyes weary, but they held the same steady intensity that had unnerved her the day before. It's you, Evelyn breathed, relief flooding her. Thank God. The boy said nothing, his gaze fixed on her. Evelyn knelt, her voice shaking. I'm sorry for before. Please, tell me, how did you know? What's happening? For a long moment, the boy remained silent, his small frame dwarfed by the grandeur of the penthouse. Then, in a soft voice, he spoke. My name is Malik, he said. I see things before they happen. Evelyn's brows furrowed, her mind struggling to process his words. How Malik lowered his gaze, his small hands twisting together. I don't know why, but sometimes when I sleep on the streets, I dream, and the dreams show me things, people who won't wake up again. He lifted his hand, trembling slightly. Last night, I saw you, a car, a crash, and something else. Men, they wait for you. They want your money, but they'll take your life, too. Evelyn's throat tightened, her pulse quickening. The close call on the highway, the security alerts, it all aligned too perfectly. If I get in my car again tomorrow, I won't live, she whispered, repeating his words. Malik nodded, his eyes meeting hers. Stay here. Hide. They'll come looking, but not tonight. Tomorrow. Evelyn's mind raced. Hide. In her own home. The idea was absurd, yet the boy's certainty was unshakable. Stay with me, she said suddenly, her voice firm despite the tremor in it. Just for tonight. Malik hesitated, his small frame shifting uncomfortably. I don't belong here. You saved my life, Evelyn said, her tone unwavering. You belong here now. That night, Evelyn didn't sleep. She kept Malik close, her penthouse locked down under tight security. She'd given him a guest room, a clean set of clothes, and a meal, simple acts that felt inadequate in the face of what he'd done. Malik sat quietly, his small frame curled into an oversized armchair, a blanket draped over his shoulders. Evelyn watched him, her mind a storm of questions. Morning came, gray and cold, the city shrouded in mist. A call from her head of security broke the silence. Miss Harper, 2 suspicious men were spotted near your car in the garage. They ran when approached. Evelyn's stomach dropped. She glanced at Malik, who sat quietly, his eyes fixed on the floor. He'd been right again. By noon, the police confirmed the men were part of a local gang, hired to stage a robbery that would have ended in her death. Without Malik's warning, she wouldn't have survived the day. Evelyn sat in her grand living room, Malik beside her, the blanket still draped over his shoulders. How can you see these things? She asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Malik's voice was quiet, almost fragile. I don't know. It started after my mum died. She was sick. We had no money. One night I dreamed she would go away. The next day, she didn't. His eyes shimmered, his small hands clenching the blanket. Since then, sometimes I just know. Evelyn's chest tightened, a lump rising in her throat. You've been alone ever since. He nodded, his gaze distant. A long silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken pain. Finally, Evelyn reached out, gently taking his small hand. You'll never be alone again, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. You saved my life. Now I'll take care of yours. For the first time, Malik's serious face softened, a faint glimmer of hope breaking through his guarded expression. Outside, the city moved on, unaware of how a small boy in rags had saved a millionaire from death and changed both their lives forever. In the days that followed, Evelyn threw her considerable resources into ensuring Malik's safety and future. She hired tutors, enrolled him in a private school, and secured a trust fund to provide for him. Her penthouse, once a sterile monument to her success, began to feel like a home, filled with the quiet presence of a boy who had seen too much but still carried hope in his eyes. Evelyn's perspective shifted. The deals, the power, the relentless pursuit of more, they no longer defined her. She began mentoring young entrepreneurs from underserved communities, funding scholarships and community programs. Malik's gift, as unsettling as it was, had given her a second chance, not just to live, but to live differently. Malik, too, began to heal. The nightmares still came, but they were less frequent now, softened by the stability of his new life. He never spoke of his visions unless asked, but Evelyn learned to trust his quiet warnings, the subtle shifts in his expression that signaled danger. Together they forged a bond that transcended their differences, a partnership built on gratitude and mutual survival. The city continued its relentless rhythm, but for Evelyn and Malik, the world had changed. A millionaire and a street child, bound by a moment of prophecy, had rewritten their futures, and in the quiet moments, when the city lights glittered below, Evelyn would look at Malik and feel a warmth she'd never known, a reminder that sometimes the smallest voices carry the greatest truths.